Hello and welcome to Pasture Bedtime. My name's Bev. If you're listening to this in February in the UK, you're probably wondering when the sun's ever going to reappear and if your lily white skin will ever see the light of day again. Consequently, your body's level of vitamin D will be at its lowest point, contributing to feelings of fatigue, aches and pains, and overall depression. I'll be honest, I swear I will have developed rickets before this winter is over. Did you know that eggs are one of only a handful of foods that naturally contain vitamin D, along with other vital nutrients? It's true to say that eggs really are Mother Nature's original superfood. Anyone who keeps chickens will also tell you that their eggs never tasted so good. My guests today are no different and couldn't be more passionate about eggs and the hens that produce them. In search of a better quality of life, this former teacher and trained chef up sticks from London and headed to Hampshire, where they now manage over 500 chickens, producing organic, pasture-raised eggs sold directly to the public through pubs, restaurants, vending machines, and even at the gym. If the new year has you pondering a new life in the country, you do worse than to listen to Rodrigo and Kirsten Navarro as they talk about what drove them to make this change and how they're overcoming obstacles to complete the transition. I started by asking Kirsten what prompted her to make the move.
So I was a primary school teacher for 6 years.
Oh, you were 7.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years in London. So I worked in schools in South East London and South London. And I loved being a teacher. I always thought I'd be a teacher. I'd be that one teacher where they go, oh, geez, Mrs. Navarro, or Miss O'Donovan at the time, she's still there. Oh, she taught me when I was younger, and have that kind of impact. But then there came a point where my ethos around teaching being I guess it was quite a holistic approach. I was very much there for the kids. The kids I had were from very diverse backgrounds. Some of them, you wouldn't believe the lives they were living at such small ages. And my goal was to, with the hours they have with me, be the best hours of their day, and that we celebrate everything they do and grow them into amazing little people. But the problem with that was it didn't match up with government and bureaucracy side of things, where goals had to be met. And I'd be sitting there going, this child came to me already 2 terms behind in where they're supposed to be. How am I meant to close that gap as well as progress everyone else? It became quite unrealistic expectations, and it hurt quite a bit. And it took me a while to realize the damage it was causing me. So I ended up taking time away from teaching, signed off for a while, and just kind of reflected on what was important for me. And I think just before, or maybe it was after, we went to Slapton for our anniversary by accident. We both forgot our first anniversary date of our wedding. But it worked out perfectly that we went to a place that Rod did lambing for his course, and we stayed there. They did a live lambing day. So I got to walk around, and then we stayed over the night. They're like a wedding venue as well. Stayed over the night, and the next day was basically like behind the scenes. Like they took us out in the gator. We went to feed the lambs, and all of a sudden, like we were in this field and we were having a great time. And I was like looking at all the little lambs. I was like, this is great, and having a great time. And then I turned around, and Jo, who's the shepherdess, she's fantastic. She was putting a U in the front where we were sitting. So I was thinking, how did we get back? Like, what's going on here?
2 seats.
Yeah, there's only 2 seats next to her. So I was like, okay, well, there's nowhere for me to put my feet. There's a sheep in it now. And the next minute she's giving me a lamb that wasn't very well. And then Rod that got given the twin. And we were sitting then on the back of the gator, like a little pickup truck, sitting on the back of it. I'm holding this little lamb. Rod's holding one. He took a photo of us. And I remember standing at the top of the field when we got like everything done, and I looked out, a bit like you were saying with the moors, and I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be where I currently am. This is the goal. This is what I want to be doing. And the more like Rod talked about his course while I was still teaching, and his like what he was learning and everything. I was volunteering at a city farm called Surrey Docks.
Yeah.
And they're incredible. Tiny little farm, but in the middle of central London. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I was helping with their young farmers, and it kind of started to see this like, oh, there's education doesn't have to be classroom based.
Mm-hmm.
It can look different. And I kind of thought, Rod, going into it from a food perspective, the more we talked, we realized the lack of education and importance that isn't placed on agriculture, particularly in London. They're in their own bubble, which is fair. We grew up in that bubble, but it was a completely different world. And we realized how important it is that we should try and use what we're learning and our knowledge and our connections that we're building over time to improve people's understanding and education around agriculture, where their food comes from, why it's so important to back British farmers. And so we thought we'll try and use our like a hospitality knowledge and education knowledge and bring it together. And so then now I work in corporate because the farm can pay Rod, but it can't pay me just yet. So I'm working for a construction company at the minute, but it's just
I love that clarity of vision at that point. This is where I'm supposed to be. Something is drawing me to this, and now you can kind of put up with, I guess, the corporate shizzle that you need to get done for a while. Because you can maybe see in the future what's waiting for you. So that's fantastic.
The good thing with the chickens as well is they kind of work, especially in the summer, they work either side of my working hours. So I can go do chicken stuff, be out in the field and have a lovely time, and then come back in. At the moment, Rod's going a bit later, which is when I actually start work because of the daylight hours, which I don't mind because it's quite muddy and wet, and I'm okay.
Okay. We've got a bit of a part-time poultry farm here, Rod. I just think you should be aware of that. A bit of a wet weather part-timer. But that's so it's working around what you're doing at the moment, and it will be there when spring comes. Well, do you know how long it'll be before you can devote yourself to it fully?
I don't know. It's something. I might be speaking for you here, but I think it's such a long process, just from moving out of our whole lives living in London since I was 8 and Kirsten was born there. They're now both 30 odd, and to come in here, which is a completely different lifestyle, we've had to change so much. On top of Kirsten's started a new job, even though she was familiar with it. I've started a business with chickens, also working at a pub. So there's just been so much
making friends
happen in the last 9 or so months.
It's been a whirlwind, definitely. I think we do have like a plan for me to get more on farm and kind of build that education.
We've got like a direction we want to go in, but what the end goal is like, or what the journey to there looks like, is not quite clear.
No, it's a bit like Phoebe and Friends. They were like, "Do you have a plan?" And she goes, "I don't even have a plan." It's a bit like that. I have no idea, but I don't know how we get there. But the thing is, at Kingsley, like we've got Tim and Ollie and Sharon's wife. Tim, Sharon's wife.
Tim's wife.
Thank you. They are incredible fountains of knowledge, and we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing without them. They're always thinking about it as well and how it will look. And when I've like shared an idea of that little pipe dream, I was like, oh, that would be nice to do one day. They're very quick. If they see something that could work, they're a bit like you. They will act on it. They'll be like, right, let's get this. Go do it. They're like, go on, off you go. They're very quick to be like, everything's possible. They don't, which I think is really nice. They've definitely have a door massively open for people to get into farming, and I think we wouldn't have started without them.
No,
really.
I don't know if there's a bit on my website and on our Instagram about the pitch up.
There is,
scheme. Would you call it a scheme or a incentive? About how I got, and I suppose both of us got into farming here.
Yeah, well, I was going to come back to your background in it. So yours is a different starting point. What was the trigger for you to up sticks and change your life completely to do this?
It's hard to remember whether it was like for you, there was a very clear point where you thought, whilst
can't
we're
be
lambing in Northampton.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this is where I want to be. This kind of story. I don't think it was so clear cut for me because I think we both had this dream of living in a farm or living rurally, as everyone does at the minute. And then I think being a chef and through COVID, just seeing difficulties in supply lines that we had, getting the right veg or getting any veg at all. And I just started doing some research into why and trying to understand why suddenly from one day to the next, we couldn't get the same quality food or even the same ingredients. And that's when I realized actually a lot of the stuff we bought in was imported from different countries. And just like in the middle of summer, we get bunches of herbs and they'll all be either Israeli or South African or Spanish. I thought, well, that just doesn't make any sense because this stuff can quite easily grow here. Even with the knowledge I had at the time, it's the middle of summer. I mean, I just couldn't understand. And then I just went a deep dive into trying to understand why so much food is imported, why so much food isn't grown here, or the logistics and the difficulties within that. And I've just thought, I think I need to leave this. And when did I start the course? Was I ballet school or?
You were at the ballet school. You moved to the ballet school to fit it around.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I've been a head chef in a pub and a restaurant for a few years, and that was very difficult, especially post-COVID. It was just, yeah. So then I looked for something that was more 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, which is unheard of in hospitality. But Royal Ballet School in London, they've got boarding schools where the students live in. And they need a chef that does breakfast, lunch, and then someone else does the dinner, and then does different stuff for the weekend as well. So I did that for just under a year.
Yeah.
And although I had most of my weekends, it was extremely difficult. That's somewhere, I think, like you said, Cass, where it sort of tipped me over the edge. The amount of food waste that's sort of integrated into the system, not purposefully, but it's like
it's an acceptable tolerance level of waste.
Disregard as part of the system, and it was so shocking.
It was almost like a hotel in the way that they had to provide options and lots of options, and it had to be obviously those kids were athletes, so it had to be a certain nutritional value. So there was a lot.
The food was amazing, the quality of it, the volume of it as well, but that made it quite difficult to control food waste. And for someone to come from pubs where margins are non-existent and you haven't used absolutely everything, count everything, that was just really difficult. So at some point I decided, right, I'm going to leave here, start this agriculture course at Capel Manor. I left there because that was a full-time job.
Yeah.
I took up a job near us, an Argentinian restaurant, part-time, doing about 20 hours. And then the rest of the time I would travel to Mottingham in London to do this course, agriculture course, which is actually for like up to 16, 17-year-olds. Well, they did take on adult learners as well. But that was quite an interesting experience, being back in school with people 10 years younger than me, if not more, actually. Most of them.
Yeah.
And so finally, you felt it was time to make that move then. How did you come to uncover Kingsclear and decide where you were going to end up?
Yeah, so that was through college. We had to do work experience. I think it was 6 weeks in total or something like that. I did 2 weeks at Slapton Manor doing lambing. And then I did another 1 week here or 2 weeks here. I can't remember. I just emailed. Well, I'd looked for farms that were doing something a little bit different, maybe. And I think I came across Kingsclear through another podcast, actually. I thought, oh, that sounds really interesting. With it, it's got mobile dairy, and all these other systems going on. It's not just sort of a farm growing cereals. So I sent an email saying, look, can I come and say hello, do a week's work experience with you? And he said, well, it's not really something we're set up for because they don't really have livestock other than the dairy. And actually, the dairy is quite well known. So they have people doing work experience with it quite regularly. But he said, come along to one of our farm walks, which they do every fortnight. Tim takes people and they just walk around the farm and talk about it. And we'll have a discussion. So that was kind of it, really. We met up and he said, I think he liked my background and he could see that I wasn't maybe flaky about, or I was aware how difficult it is to actually farm.
Yeah, realistic.
Yeah, exactly. So he said, just come and stay up with us for a week and you
that's
can.
So funny.
Yeah, he just put me up in their house, which is
It's like, yeah,
I'd never met
I
him.
was like, you've never met this man before. You could be a serial killer. He could be you don't know. And I was like, this is dying. But it was such a country approach.
Yeah,
Like
just very
out of
open.
London approach. Yeah, of course you
Yeah.
can stay with us. And like now knowing the Mays as well, they are very welcoming.
Yeah, I
to
think
everyone.
most people are like that, which was a
Yeah.
bit shocking, actually, a bit sort of disarming.
Yeah.
But that's how it started. Did the work experience. I really enjoyed it. He sort of got to know me a bit better. And then I helped him at Groundswell. You've heard of Groundswell?
Yeah.
So we took they take this big smoker where they cook ex-dairy cows on there from the dairy. So I helped butcher some of the cows, and then I did the event with Kirsten as well.
Yeah.
Just sort of building that social capital with him. And then when I finished the course, I decided, well, look, this looks like one of the best opportunities we could have, because we looked at buying land and that wasn't really at all an
Going
option.
back to Ireland as well.
We looked at moving to Ireland and all these different things, and nothing seemed particularly feasible. Never mind easy, just actually possible. So I spoke to him and he said, look, we really want to get into this. Is there any way you can help us? And he said, well, we do this pitch up scheme where people come to us with their ideas and we help them out if it fits on our farm. But they actually already had the chicken business that I'm running. They'd had it a couple of years prior, but the guy who was running it left for whatever reason. So they'd already sunk some of the costs into the shed, some of the other infrastructure, some of the branding.
Packery.
So he was quite key at the packery vending machine. So he was quite keen to have someone actually take that business on again in their own way and have it running again. And he'd learned some things from the previous business as well about running egg-laying chickens. So and now we're here.
Now we have chickens.
And they have chickens. That's an incredible story. I don't think either of you realise, and when you listen back to this and maybe in years to come when you think back on it, how many times things are landing, they feel like they're landing in your lap out of serendipity.
Yeah.
But there will be something about each of you and your personalities that makes people want to help, give you the chance, give you the opportunity, because they see that spark in you. It just comes out of the screen at me anyway. So it's also
noticed that with you in like your career, like not only with Tim putting trust in you after just meeting you, but when you were at the South African restaurant, like we're still very good friends with the owner from there, Etienne, and like Rod started off there as like a commie chef, and very, very quickly we were on holiday and Etienne was like, I want to make you like junior sous, or was it sous chef or head chef?
I think his head chef had left for whatever reason, and
he was like, I need someone, and I want. He was basically just putting his whole business trust in you, that you wouldn't flake, you wouldn't go anywhere, and he knew that you wouldn't, and he invested in you. Like you went off to South Africa and stuff, and I think it's the same with Tim. People who are very like Tim and Etienne are very business minded, and they can see that in you, and I see it in you as well. But,
very kind.
but I think it is like what you were saying, Bev, like people can pick it up. And I think you are a very hard worker and people don't take that for granted.
Yeah, I think people in the countryside are they can smell BS a bit better than.
You're in Hampshire. Wait till you've been up to Yorkshire.
No, we're not even particularly rural, but there's already a difference. People respect hard work around here, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's fascinating. And you have an open invitation to come up to North Yorkshire. Trust me.
I don't think
So-
No, your plan this year is to go
Really?
visit, because my friends went to York Uni and I went to Winchester, so I was down south. So we never got a chance to go up there. So Hannah's very keen for me to go. So yeah, definitely we'll take that up.
It's not as far as it seems, but you mustn't tell anyone how nice it is. I'm under strict instructions not to let any more Southerners in. So that's it's fascinating to just to walk through with you all the things that needed to happen and all the surprises that came along the way to open up what you're looking at and doing now. So give us a sort of elevator pitch of what the business offers. Now I've got some other questions around some of the tough stuff that's going on at the moment in poultry farming. So before we get onto that, what what the business that you run, the size of it, the availability, how do people get to access it?
Yeah, so it's essentially an organic, the full title, I suppose, is organic pasture-raised eggs. And broken down, it means we're organic, certified organic. The whole farm is certified organic. And so when we started, we also had to be immediately organic, which was quite good to not actually have a choice. Just that's what it is, which brings its own complications. But then pasture raised means that our chickens are constantly on a form of pasture. That doesn't necessarily mean just ryegrass or a specific type of grass. They've got herbal lay here. I'm not sure which variety, but they're always on that. Even now with bird flu, which you probably ask about later, we have sort of a cage system underneath their shed, but they still have access to the grass, even though they're technically housed.
Ah, okay.
Very
I was going to come on to that and we might circle back, but that's intriguing.
So that's the title of it and what the product is. And we've got 3 different breeds, lemon browns, white leghorns, and emeralds. They lay brown, white, and sort of emeraldy green eggs, respectively. And we had bought 600 of them at the beginning. They all arrived in May. Now, I don't know how many I have now because I've not counted them. It's quite a difficult task.
I don't want to.
No, we probably lost 100 odd or so at least in that time. That's from chickens that have just run off. We had a fox attack over Christmas. Chickens that just died in the winter. Just livestock equals death stock. So, I'd say we've got 500 odd chickens left and they're laying quite well. We sell our eggs locally primarily. So there's a vending machine on the farm, which works quite well. But when it doesn't work, it's a bit of a nightmare. Sometimes they get stuck or people's eggs don't come out or they don't understand how to make it work or just...
I'm making a new poster.
New instruction. It's not that complicated once you know how to use it, but I guess it's like a rotating turret as opposed to just multiple cells which you open.
But also a lot of the people who use it, because it's on the A339, which goes from Basingstoke to Newbury, very busy road. People they may be just a one and done customer. They're like, oh, and they see it on their way. So they're more likely than not, they're not familiar with it. And that's where the problems come and you get a lot of phone calls.
I've had a couple of times people have had an issue and they call me up because my number's on there. Call me up, said I can't get my eggs and I'll be at work or something like that. I said, oh, do you live locally? I'm quite happy to drop them off. I said, no, I live in North London. I'm just coming through. So all I can do is just refund them or try and Anyway, we sell out the vending machine, which is normally quite good. And then we sell our butchers here, a corner shop, and then also the pub as well, yes. And we got partnerships with a couple of gyms primarily, where we will drop off trays of 30 eggs, 30 times, 8 trays, empty boxes with all the information and some QR codes for the customers to scan. So the QR code for 6 eggs, 12 eggs, 30 eggs, and they'll pick their own eggs, package them, pay for them on the QR code, and that's it. So we sell quite a lot of eggs that way, actually. And then I drive to London every Wednesday. They do a gym there as well and a butcher's, which I'm good friends with from back when we were in restaurants. And he sells an enormous amount of eggs. I actually can't keep up at the minute. That's the main way we sell them. I also do local deliveries through our website. We had some for eggs last week. That was about 40 minutes away. I'm not sure how she managed that, but I need to tighten up that circle because that was way too far for a tray of eggs.
I mean, so Apple are parents as well, and they're so my dad sells from work all the drivers for the construction company that he works where I work. All the drivers, they come and get their eggs, and they're all very passionate about it and very positive, and they're good and
got multiple sales channels.
And then also farmers markets as well.
And it's quite labour intensive. I speak to a number of people, obviously now, and whether it's milk and milk vending machines or, beef and pork and lamb, the logistics piece is a challenge. What would you, is there any part of this that is a knotty problem? I mean, putting bird flu to one side for a minute, which we'll come back to. Is there one part of this logistical piece that is challenging you in particular, or just the scale?
I have a perspective on it.
For me in particular, it would be keeping eggs clean. because of the regulations around eggs in the UK, you can't wash an egg if it's to be sold raw. So any egg you see whole in a supermarket should have come straight from the chicken through some conveyor belt system, but not been washed at all, stamped, and then into a box. There can't be any chemical use or washing or mechanical cleaning. Any eggs that come out dirty, if you want to sell them, they have to be cooked. Or if they're washed, they have to be then cooked. So for boiled eggs or liquid eggs or going into mayonnaise or cooked products, that's fine. But obviously we don't do that. We just sell the raw product. So actually keeping the eggs clean, especially because we have some white eggs, which just dirty. Actually, you might grab one. We take the dirty eggs home. But it's really difficult.
You know where they came from, right?
Well, exactly. So you can see
that's a bit pooey, isn't it?
But sometimes it's pooey and sometimes it's muddy as well, because sometimes they just decide to lay in the wrong place.
Or just dust. And just keeping the eggs clean is particularly difficult. And then and that's right at the beginning of the process. So egg comes out of the chicken, immediately becomes dirty, and then every step down the line is complicated. Is it clean enough where you can just wipe off the dust and that's fine, or is it so dirty you can't use it? And then we get quite a lot of that, especially now in the winter where it's wetter and everything's a bit humid and dust gathers. So that has been a massive issue.
I think from my perspective, going back to that part-time farmer in a way, seeing the volume of work that you do and thinking, God, now if we could afford that I'd be on farm full time, I could take that from you. And there's so much admin and legal stuff that Rod is way more confident in than I am. I haven't got a clue if I opened anything from DEFRA or from people that you talk to. I don't know. But and then I think about getting messages, because I stay at my parents' when I go to work in the office. So I do 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. So I'm staying at my parents in London for 2 nights, and I get messages from him the night before a London delivery, and he's like, oh, I'm still sorting eggs. I've had to go get more eggs. And it's 1 o'clock in the morning by the time he goes to bed, but then he gets up at 4 to try and get a few more bits done. And I'm thinking, if only I prioritize cleaning eggs a bit more and getting those things ready for you. And then, if I was there on a Monday, I could have done that and you could have got something else sorted. And so finding the balance because at the moment it feels like it's a 1.5 person at the farm, or 1.25 sometimes, I think, with my role in it.
Well, even I'm not fully there because I'm still working at a pub Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or 10 till 9. So that's 3 days of the week.
Yeah.
I only get about 2 hours to do stuff in the farm. So actually, it's not really a full farmer's week, sort of Monday to Sunday.
And then add deliveries to that as well. That's taking a chance out of your
Monday. I'm just recovering.
And then Saturday and Sunday I'm here, but then not saying I shouldn't prioritize this, but you got meetups with friends. I've got a friend's birthday next week and things, and I don't see my friends very often because they all live London direction. And then
there's just stuff in the house.
But that's the bit I was going to get to. Rod's busy so all the time, he's in and out, that I do the food shop delivery, which I've just realized is probably due. And I'm buying things to make sure he eats that. And this is the chef, but he's so prioritizing of the business and the girls that he forgets. So I'm like, well, there's a Charlie Bingham's lasagna in the fridge. Please make sure you eat and all that sort of thing. And then you come home and on the weekends, I'm looking at the house going tidy room, tidy mind, that I know neither of us can function properly unless everything's tidied up. So it's doing laundry and catching up on those bits that you've not neglected, but you've not had a chance to get to because you've got to do the chickens don't wait. We've got to be there. We're their guardians and we need to make sure that they're okay at the detriment to our own home, which is fine. So I think that's what I think about logistics wise, that is hard, that the work that we put in, you kind of think, Jesus, we should be paid way more, the amount of hours you put in and all this, but it just doesn't cover it, which is quite normal in farming.
Exactly, isn't it? Aren't you you are speaking to all the issues that every other farmer can empathise with. Bird flu, avian flu, you alluded to how you're coping with that at the moment, which was one of my questions. Explain how you're managing that.
in a normal time of year where there's no flock down, as people call it, which actually I
like that.
lockdown, flock down. They're in two mobile sheds. It's a bit like a caterpillar tunnel on wheels. There's two of them, and they get dragged around the farm, following a dairy herd, about 4 or 5 days behind, by a little tractor. And then every morning I let them out, and they literally have free roam of the whole field they're in. Sometimes they go into hedges, so I have to be quite careful as to where exactly I put them or set up fences, but I don't put an electric fence around them because it would just be too labor intensive. So the people that do that only move them once a week or so, which is fine. But for me, in order to keep up with the dairy, which moves the field every day, I can't fence them in.
Yeah.
Right. They usually have kilometers to run around in. And then for the fact that they eat the grass has a massive impact on the quality, the flavor, and probably the nutritional content of the product, which is their egg. If you buy a normal free range egg, even if it's organic, and you look at the yolk compared to one of our yolks are really, really orange.
Yeah.
And that comes from the I can't remember if it's keratin or something, but it's the same thing that gives the yellow color to a cow's milk or the fat in the cow. Because they eat so much grass, the yolk becomes really, really vivid yellow, and that's without us adding any, paprika or marigolds like some people do. It's just naturally a part of their diet, which is amazing. We wanted to continue that quality of the egg through lockdown, but obviously being housed, either you chuck them in a shed or you just keep them in their houses, which are big enough to meet regulations anyway, and just keep them there and see if you can move them around. But both options seem pretty rough.
It's not nice.
No, so
It's not how they live.
No, exactly. Going from one day to the next, being able to roam for literally a kilometer if you want
They
to.
have a whole field, like
Yeah.
a whole massive field.
To then just being cooped, it must have been for them as a flock quite difficult, and it was to see
that
the first
first
couple of weeks or so.
Because so we got the notification Tuesday in the week to be fully locked down or like housed or following the regulations by Thursday.
My gosh. Yeah.
And we were like, how is this? Like, we knew it was coming, but we didn't think it was going to be that quick. Like, you had the map on your phone and everything. And then all of a sudden we had to be like that. And I was there like, how is this going to work? I was like, Roger, you need to have meetings with Tim. Like, what is going to happen? And the first week, while you were preparing the extension, as I call it, we had them fully housed. And you could just tell they were depressed. You could tell they weren't happy. They weren't comfortable. We did do our best, but they weren't able to go out onto the grass at that point because we were trying to make sure they were protected, because we didn't want then we'll just let them out anyway and then something go wrong, because then it would be our responsibility. So it's keeping them housed, and it's like looking, and it's like, oh, this isn't nice. This isn't how they are usually. And we gave them feed, and we noticed that week the drop in our expectations of their eggs and what we've come to know. And then once the little extension was added on and we were able to let them out a bit more and in within the regulations, that quality got right back up again. They were so much more lively and happy and having their little dust baths. And it was a lot.
It became really evident how much the grass or the lay is a part of their diet, because just the quality of the eggs dropped from it takes about 2 or 3 days for whatever they're eating or something that's happened that day to affect their eggs. But you could really immediately tell the grass is where the color is, and the flavor actually. Now they're so we've now moved to a single field, and the sheds are separate, so they're not in a line anymore, and each shed has like an extension out the back of it, a bit like a greenhouse, I suppose, or like a polytunnel, but instead of glass or plastic, it's netting, so they can't escape it, but they still have access to the grass. So we move.
They can't.
They do sometimes escape. Most of the time they don't escape it, but sometimes they do sometimes escape. And then we move that along in sort of a Congo line every couple of days or so. At the moment, it's every 2 days. When it was a bit drier, it was 3 days or so, because then they really eat all the grass, leave absolutely nothing except for roots, and then we'll move on. So then they continuously have fresh pasture. So that has brought the quality of the eggs back up. It's made them a lot happier than they were. Still not quite where they were before, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, there's plenty of grass for them to eat, and they eat all of it. It kind of puts into perspective how much they must be eating when they're out in a field. They don't look like they have any impact whatsoever because it's enormous and it's only 600 chickens, but they really must be trimming the tops off all the grass. So,
Speaking, we were trying to get advice from other people who do similar pasture raised chickens like we do. And you were talking to a lady on Instagram. Was she up north? I think she was. I can't remember where.
possibly, which one?
What she said, I can't remember what her name was, but she said to you about how last year when the lockdown regulations came in for her chickens, obviously we didn't have chickens at that point. She said they're still feeling the effects now on their birds. Like they're still not the same.
They've not regrown their feathers because when you coop them up, even if the size of the area they have meets the required regulations, they'll just peck at each other.
They have a go at one another, don't they?
They can't escape as much as they can at other times. So really, some of them get bullied. Some of them get so bullied that they actually just die, especially if they're particularly weak ones. Cold weather, ice, being cooped up, not having the opportunity to sort of do your own thing separate from the main flock. The weak ones just started dropping dead.
They're like little stress balls, aren't they, with feathers?
Yeah.
They're a very good indicator of what's happening in their world.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then we set up, before lockdown, you set up the infirmary, the little.
Oh yeah, the little.
We got a little horse
ICU.
box. Yeah, we call it the chicken infirmary, and it's where Rod primarily, obviously, but I'll point some out. But I'll go and look after him. But we'll notice maybe a bird that's not very well or not been pecked at too much, and she just needs some R&R kind of away from everyone in a safe environment. So we have a little horse box. It's got hay and laying boxes as well. We don't collect those eggs because those girls might be having like
They might have
infections and things. So we're just making sure that they're fit and healthy. Yeah. And the difference when one goes in, I remember one day, like we were putting one in, and it made me really upset to see that she'd gotten so unwell. And then the next time I went round, I think it was 2 or 3 days later, and you were like, oh yeah, that's the one. And I was like, oh my God. She was like, oh, fluffy, like ready to go. Because we used to let them out, obviously, when we were allowed to, and they'd go pecking around in the grass that they were in. But our priority is, obviously, the quality of the eggs is so important, but it links so much to how they are themselves, how they are feeling, and the care that you put in and the time you put in is.
I think I thought of something earlier, and you've alluded to it as well. No, it's fine. That when we're talking about how much time it takes to do all of this and how the amount of hours we put in doesn't equate how much we're earning, which is true. And you could also say that, well, you just need to be more efficient, which we do. We've only been doing it for a year, but there's all sorts of efficiencies we could put into place and are going to put into place when we have the time. But things like a sick bird, spending a couple of hours on one bird to try and get it back to health, or actually just doing what might be the nicest thing to just put it out of its misery. When you compare that to the value of your time, the value of the materials you might have put into its recovery, and it might die in the end anyway, that's a massive inefficiency. But I think it's something that's quite important to us, that the welfare of the chickens actually is more priority than our time and the cost involved, so long as obviously the costs aren't ridiculous. I'm not going to call a vet out for one chicken, but we'll do what we can within our own, which is a massive inefficiency. A bird that's probably not going to come back to life.
Not efficient. Probably Tim, and Ollie look at us like we're mad. But
yeah, maybe.
I think it's also the value, because we also, not to be crude about it, but we also see that there is a money side to it. Like that chicken costs that much, can earn this much. If we can save her, that would be great. So it's striking that balance. I think we're probably still a bit soft in the agricultural world.
I'm sure that's a dilemma shared by farmers old and young, isn't it? Because it is more of a vocation than a job, and you are balancing the welfare of your livestock against the commercial realities and, as you say, the inefficiencies. I think we'll make another episode about that, because I think that would be interesting to get some other perspectives from farmers who have had exactly the same challenge. So maybe we'll have a little panel discussion or something. You describe on the website, and I think reading between the lines, you touch on, and you're careful to describe your eggs as pasture fed chickens, eggs versus free range. Is there something around labelling here? There's an awful lot in the press at the moment about the correctness or otherwise of food labelling. Is that a very distinct difference? If I see free range eggs, am I home and dry, or should I be looking out for something else as a consumer?
As a normal consumer, just going to the supermarket, you're almost 100% unlikely to see pasture raised eggs because they're not a very common thing at all.
Pasture raised.
Pasture raised. So.
Yeah.
Pasture raised.
Pasture raised or fed?
Yes, exactly. It's just not very common. A free range chicken has the requirements. I'm not sure on the exact details, but they need to have a certain amount of space per chicken that is outdoors available for them to roam in. But that can be static. So it could be where we are right now. This could be a shed, and they could have a perimeter area where they're allowed to roam, but then they will just stay there for the whole year. So that means any grass or vegetation that was there is very quickly gone and probably won't recover unless you're implementing some sort of rotation in that area, which I imagine is quite difficult if it's a static shed. So pasture raised doesn't only mean that they have this access to the outdoors that a free range crop does, but also means that they're moving from one pasture to another relatively regularly, so that not only do the chickens gain the nutrition from fresh pasture, but also that pasture is allowed to recover. So whereas a standard free range operation might designate a whole area for egg production or poultry production, and then that's all it is. In pasture raised, at least the way we do it, that land that we've just been in, we've moved on, and in a month's time, the cows that we're chasing will actually be there again.
Yeah. So this plays to the regenerative piece, right? So this whole the farm is an ecosystem. It's a loop.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of the key criteria for Tim, the farm manager, when we came in, is that they need to move. That's like one of the requirements. As much as being organic is, being moving around is one of the everything on the farm actually.
I'm
practically needs to move.
I'm giggling because we were like, yeah, we'll move them every day. It'll be fine. And then we get in the tractor and you've got these, and they're not small and they're not easy to move.
The sheds.
And you're also thinking, okay, right, the girls are in there. We can't, just rally through.
No, you can't belt it down there.
Then just navigating, because Rod moved the nesting boxes so that we could collect from the outside to try to be more efficient. And, but because of that, it added
width,
a little bit of width, half a meter width to the sheds. Going through a farm gate, it's the most stressful. And I think in that moment, your Rod's normally cool as a cucumber, nothing really ruffles your feathers that much, and I'm normally the one that gets very stressy. But in those moments, I am calm. Because he doesn't need me to stress about anymore.
It's a big payload on the back of that trailer, right?
Yeah, and it's like then we move them and then we have to put in the chat. So we've accidentally knocked over a fence post. We'll fix it later. It's fine. Yeah. So it was definitely a learning curve of navigating all of that and driving a tractor as well. So yeah, the importance of moving. In theory, we were like, hey, 100% behind you. And then the logistics of it, we're like, this is actually really hard.
Yeah.
So, but we got used to it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted there.
No, you're completely right.
Yeah. So the moving was definitely important and a criteria for Tim.
All of that work is just so that they remain pasture raised.
Yeah.
For the farm itself, for the soil itself, and also for the chickens. I mean, at the moment, we're only on one field because the sheds are so long now that actually the logistics of moving through a fence are just basically not possible. So we're in this field for now, and then when clock down stops, we'll remove the back end and continue the cycle. And also the dairy is dry at the minute, so they're all just in a field
chilling,
just staging, I suppose. I think they start milking in March or February or something, so hopefully by then.
No, it's later than that.
Is it?
I think it's April.
I think
it's calving around March.
Yeah, they'll start milking.
They'll start milking again, but and they were still calving in May when we came back here.
So hopefully it's been lifted by then and we can continue our cycle, but I don't know really. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. We started out by saying you didn't really have a plan, let alone a plan. So, but I'm going to ask you, what's in plan for this year? What would you like it to look like?
This year, personally, I'm looking to leave the pub as soon as possible. Tomorrow would be great, but I have a notice period. So, and just continue to pay myself from the chickens and then dedicate myself, especially this summer, where the days are longer, the production is higher, chickens are healthier, to just really go hard on the chickens, on the marketing. Got all sorts of plans to do events where people will come and collect their own eggs. So might get 20 people once a week, have a walk up to the sheds, depending where we are, spend a couple of hours chatting with me. They get to collect their own eggs, take them home. And it's just an experience. And then that'll be a separate income to the eggs themselves, but also as a bit of marketing, word of mouth gets around quite well around here. Just really pushing eggs. More birds. We've ordered more birds. They're coming in June.
What did you order them?
Yeah.
That's actually an interesting point. Us being organic, we were very keen, or I don't know, we had to. I don't know if you were looking more into the logistics of it, but we went with organic pullets.
Organic pullets.
Pullets, yeah. But there's only 2 producers of it in the UK.
So. Yeah.
So the people who supply our pullets, so they basically hatch them, raise them to point
They
of
don't
lay.
hatch them. They buy them 1 day old.
They buy them 1 day old and they raise them to point of lay, which is about 15 weeks.
Yeah, it depends on the chicken. 15 to 20 weeks.
Depending on, and also when we want them. So they raise them that way for us and then deliver them. And Ben and Kathy, they're over in Devon, and they came over, and Ben delivered them in the morning, and he had another delivery to Surrey as well. So he said it's quite full on for them, and it was incredible to see. It was incredible to see that there's not more organic producers. I don't think there's any in Scotland, so they have to do it differently if they want to be organic.
Yeah, in Scotland, there's no organic producers, so trekking pullets up from Devon to Scotland is not logistically possible. So I think the organic certification bodies there allow you to buy free range pullets and then immediately call them organic, because you just don't have a choice. Whereas here, at least, there's organic pullets, and then there's Humphreys, I think, but they're fed organic, but they don't meet the organic regulations. It's a bit murky.
Lots of paperwork. Yeah, that was something that I didn't expect. I thought we could just buy any chicken and then based on our practices, it would be organic, but going that bit further. But it was quite fun. But we've got new chickens coming.
Chickens.
In June. Yeah, we've got one more breed called
Cuckoo Moran.
Cuckoo Moran, yes, which are like a black feathered bird with really dark eggs. So it's quite exciting. The multicolored eggs are really good for branding and marketing. Well, people love seeing it.
My killer question, you ruined it at the beginning because you explained it, but the one on everyone's lips who's not involved in farming is what does actually cause the difference in chickens' eggshell colours. Because the urban myth is that it's what they eat that determines the colour of the eggshell. But I think, did you not reference the fact that you've got 3 different breeds and therefore 3 different coloured eggshells?
As far as I'm aware, the feed has nothing to do with the shell itself.
Not the colour anyway.
Unless you're talking about calcium content in the feed, which then makes the shell thicker or thinner. But
not
the colour
white,
itself,
brown, blue.
No, the colour itself has to do, as far as I'm aware, with the chicken breed. And someone else asked me this at the beginning of the year, and they said, is it true that a chicken's earlobes determine the colour of their
They're wrong.
I know. You just make me think that they have earlobes.
They're where you would think it would.
Yeah, the little. Okay.
I've never heard of that. I have no idea. I'll go check. And I never got back to him. I was thinking about it a couple of months ago, and I looked at our white leghorns, and I mean they're white feathered anyway. But true enough, behind their ear, they've got like a shiny white spot. The browns have a shiny brown spot, and the emeralds have a slightly bluish white spot. So there might be some truth to that.
Yeah. These are the questions the great British public has. So
Absolutely.
Chicken earlobes.
I think there's a whole series there on interesting chicken facts. I didn't even know a chicken had earlobes, to be honest. Never thought about that.
What they call them. I don't know what the function is, but
Yeah, they don't listen.
Wearing earrings, Rod. What are you?
Yeah.
Come on, be real. Oh, well, no, it's so lovely to talk to you. I'm finding out more than I ever thought I needed to know about chickens, but certainly you're on such a steep learning curve. I think you should be really proud of yourselves for going all in on it. And I really hope that this year is the year when you can, 100% the pair of you be involved in it, because I can see how much it means to you.
Yeah, it does.
It'll be very cool.
Start getting roadmap together properly.
Yeah.
Now that we're a bit more settled in, or however long months we've been here,
Yeah.
some of the
But you're
things
making it through the winter.
just about. It's quite cold. This house is only electric. There's no gas here, no oil. So it's either electric or the wood fire stoves. So it's been on continuously.
Yeah. I know that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's all coming together. It's great. Yeah, I just wish you the best of luck. I really do, and I'm sure we're going to talk again in not too long. I'd love to. If I'm down that way, I will be sure to pop in and see you. I'm still a bit intrigued by the vending machine on the A339, and that's a road I remember well. Presume, is it the gate to the farm? Effectively, it's the edge of the property.
If you ever drove from Basingstoke towards Newbury, about 10 minutes in, you get to Pit Hall Farm, which is on the right, and Folly Farm, which is on the left. There's like a right turn and a left turn that they're put together.
It's like a little valley bit.
Yeah. I mean, it was a while ago, but you might remember. And on the left, which is kind of an industrial estate with different businesses, our vending machine is there. Across the road from the packing centre. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
It's so nice to meet you. We'll do it again.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, we have to have you come visit, and you can come collect eggs and meet our girls.
Look at chicken's ears.
Have a nice rest of the day.
All right,
Bye.
take care. Have a good one.
My thanks to Rod and Kirsten for sharing their story today. If you're down in Hampshire, why not look them up at wanderingfeathers.co.uk or find them across their socials. You can find all the links in the show notes below. As always, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please like or share or leave a review. This really helps others find the show, and it lets me know that you're out there. Next week, I'll be talking to a farmer also with a passion for selling produce direct to consumers. His YouTube channel is increasing by the day as he puts out some punchy content, for example, challenging supermarkets to justify their profits, and educates us all along the way. He's a lot of fun, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for listening. But if it is past your bedtime, well, perhaps it's time to turn in. Until next time.